Hello, these are the exercises for section 5.7, the difference between two proportions. The Stanford University Heart Transplant Study randomly assigned patients to either receive a heart transplant or not. Of the 69 patients who received a transplant, 24 survived. Of the 34 patients who did not receive a transplant, 4 survived. Calculate and interpret a 95% confidence interval for the difference between the proportions of survival for those who received a transplant and those who did not. So we had to first kind of summarize our problem, kind of give like a little table or list. So we had 2 samples, those who received a transplant and those who did not receive a transplant. Okay, this is my sample 1. This is going to be my sample 2. Okay, so we want to find our point estimate for our proportion for sample for population 1. So by using our sample proportion here. So we find that out by X. That's the number of people who survived, 24 out of the 69 who received the transplant. So my P1 hat here is 24 over 69, which is approximately equal to 0.3478. Those who did not receive a transplant, there were 34 of them, and 4 of them survived. So this sample proportion is going to be 4 out of 34, which is about 0.1176. Okay, so we want to go to our GeoGebra. And our GeoGebra, we want to make sure that we come here to z-estimate difference of proportions. We want to make sure that your confidence level is indicated like it was in our problem. In our problem, we had it at 95%. And so therefore, we're going to have 95% on our confidence level. Sample 1 are successes. These are the successes, those who who survived. That's what our success is in this situation. And this is my N. Okay. So remember that these are just point estimates for the population proportion for those who receive a transplant and the population proportion estimate for those who did not receive. So you want to go through and find a confidence interval based on that. We don't have the population parameters, and so we have to go through and have this point estimate, and we're going to go through and see the difference between these and see if this difference in survival rate is significant or not. So we come to here in our GeoGebra, and our successes again were 24 out of 69, and for sample 2, those who did not receive the transplant, it was 4 out of 34. And you can see right here and right here the lower and upper limit to your confidence interval. So I'm going to go translate that back over here onto our problem. And our confidence interval is 0.0741 to 0.3862. Okay. You notice that this whole interval is positive, so that means that the difference between, we think the difference between P1 and P2 is going to be always positive. Okay, that's going to be useful in our interpretation in a moment. So I took these prompts from the examples above in your lecture notes, and it says there is a 95% confidence that the interval that we have here, 0.0741 to 0.3862, captures the difference between the proportions. The two proportions are significantly different. Okay, so how did I know that they were significantly different? So also from above, okay, they had these, on your example in your lecture notes, they have, if there's a 0 inside the interval, it means the proportions are not significantly different, because we're saying that we think that the difference could be 0. The difference could be 0, that would mean that they are the same, right? However, if there's no 0 in the interval and 0 is outside my interval, then that means that the proportions are significantly different. So, as I said here, our interval was all positive, and so they were significantly different. Okay. So, which is bigger, the people who did the transplant or those who had no transplants? Remember, my transplant group was P1, and my no transplant group was P2. And so down here, in the little prompts, it says if the entire interval is negative, P1 is smaller than P2. If the entire interval is positive, P1 is larger than P2. So that's our situation that we have. So that means that P transplant is larger than P no transplant. Okay. And let's think about why that's the case. So remember, we were saying that this difference was P1 minus P2. If your interval, that difference, is going to be captured in this interval, and that interval is always positive, that means that we're taking a smaller number away from a larger number. So P1 would be the larger number. Okay. Good.